Welcome to Motherhood, Aligned and Assigned, where we help guide mothers from symptoms to solutions.
We're Dr. Serena Kaufman and Dr. Veronica Schultz, nervous system specialists helping families discover the missing link in their wellness journey.
Join us as we translate complex health challenges into simple, actionable solutions for you and your children.
Because your family deserves to thrive,
not just survive. I'm just going to say it. Something is deeply broken in the way we're approaching kids' health. We are drowning in diagnoses like ADHD, SPD, anxiety, autism, and yet families are still left wondering what is truly going on here.
So today's episode is for every parent who's walked out of an appointment with a diagnosis but no direction. Right, so you've got the label, but you're stuck in this survival mode of what do we do with this label now? And that can end today, actually, or whenever you get your scans scheduled.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason your child is struggling. And it's not just bad luck or bad parenting or bad genetics. We're going to dive into what it actually is.
Yeah. So you do want to drop the statistic. I know we don't love statistics around here, but I think this one's kind of important.
We can talk numbers. So nearly half or 50% of all kids today are living with at least one chronic condition. So we've seen more sick and dysregulated kids than ever, and it's only increasing.
Yes.
And, I'll save it.
Okay. Well, the most unfortunate part is that antipsychotic use in children has gone up 200% in the last 2 decades. That I don't know, made my tummy hurt. That should literally shake every parent, every provider, every person listening to this, because these kids aren't getting any better. They're getting labeled, medicated, and then sent out the door to hope that they figure it out.
Yeah. They're getting suppressed.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and in both, this is happening in the holistic world as well, right? A lot. I see functional medicine docs all over just slapping supplements on symptoms, right? Like, oh, you're feeling anxious? Here, take this. Oh, you're feeling depressed? Here, take this. Like, oh, that's not working? Like, sage the house. Like, just handing out things like Band-Aids is not the solution. And I'm seeing so many Band-Aids. It's exhausting. And I imagine moms and dads are feeling exhausted by Band-Aids too. And so then they're scared because they're stuck with this child who's not thriving, and the whole family struggles.
Yeah. And I just want to drop in here and be clear that we are not anti-diagnosis, right? Like, they serve a purpose. Sometimes it opens doors to different modalities, treatments, sometimes insurance coverage, IEPs in school, right? They can be helpful. But the problem isn't necessarily the diagnosis. It's when it becomes the identity. Dr. Serena brought that up so beautifully. It is when a child is, instead of a child with autism, they are now autistic, right? Instead of my child is struggling with anxiety, it's my child is anxious, right? Or my child is broken. That right there is what changes everything for not just you as parents, but for them for the rest of their lives. Something that they carry oftentimes from the time that they're diagnosed and beyond, which really limits their ability to see their potential for life, right? Because they're always limited by this diagnosis, by this label that they've been carrying with them.
And I want to clarify on some of these diagnoses. So the stuff we're talking about isn't like hardcore, I can use a device to measure and diagnose you with a condition, right? We're talking about ADHD, which has this big spectrum, and it's attention deficit, but also it's sensory processing disorder in many cases, right? You're not processing your environment effectively to then create the desired output. That's what we do, right? Like, we correct the way our brain can process sensory input so that there's the appropriate output. That's exactly what chiropractic is. MTHFR, gene mutations, so many of my patients are so worried about having this. It's like, y'all, 60% of us have it, right? Let's stop calling it a gene mutation and just call it, what would we call it in school?
Anomaly? Is that the word?
A normal variant.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So let's just, this is a normal variant. If 60% of us have it, the 40% are the weird ones, right? So so let's stop stressing out about the MTHFR and figure out how to create an adaptable system so our genes can express themselves to the full potential, right? Because I'm going to step on a soapbox real quick and then I'll get down. But our genetics are not set in stone. in the way that we can express them, right? We have what we're given in our genetics, and then our epigenetics, which everyone should know about, doctors should be talking about, is how our environment, our emotional, physical, chemical stressors, or the good things like the nutrition that we eat, all those things that we take in and perceive and process, determine how our genes express themselves.
Mm-hmm. Can I summarize that? It literally is just repetition of your environment. What are you exposed to? What are you experiencing on a daily basis that's repetitive? That is expressed through the blueprint of your genes.
And it's changeable. It's malleable, right? If I stop consuming nutritious foods that are fueling all of these micro processes that allow my DNA to express, and I stop going outside in the sun so that vitamin D can move through my body, get to the functioning part that it needs so that my cells can express, like my DNA is going to change the way it's behaving. It's this whole thing. I love to chat about it, but we're getting stuck in, oh, I have this gene mutation, and so therefore I'm going to be stuck with all these ailments. It's like, no. Your epigenetics and your adaptability and the resources that you have available to you can totally change the way that your body is expressing itself. And it can do that to its full potential when you're regulated. Mm-hmm. And so we also have Pandas and Lyme and all of these things that are just wild, unknown, misunderstood diagnoses that don't have any direction to them. Unless you get onto like the fringy doctors who are doing like crazy stuff that can help a ton of people, but then also sometimes lead you down this rabbit hole of we have to peel back onion layer after onion layer after onion layer to get to like, oh, you're expressing this disease of Lyme because of all of this dysregulation in your past. Right? It's like, oh, you responded this way because of all this other stuff. So we have to like undo all the other stuff. It's disheartening that so many people are stuck in, I am or I have this condition. It's like, you are not that. That is how your body is expressing stress in the moment. That's not who you are.
It's communication.
Yeah, it's a red flag. Right? And everyone has different red flags of how their body's going to tell you, hey, I'm stressed.
And the exciting thing about this conversation, no matter what diagnosis you are experiencing or dealing with or have been told you or your child have, it all stems from one thing, right? It all goes back to the communication within the body to every other thing, the nervous system, and how it is literally telling every other thing what to do. And so I think it's so cool when people are like, you can support that, you can help with that, like, you know, how is it that you can see my child who's struggling with tantrums and then also see me who as a mom, right, who's struggling with sleep or IBS or all these things? And it's because I'm not worried about your diagnosis. I'm worried about the communication that is happening in your body to those organs, to, you know, the adrenal glands, to the kidneys, to the liver, right? Like, I'm not addressing those things. I'm addressing the nervous system that's communicating with those things. And naturally, that's why I wanted to mention my like repetition comment, is because through repetitive care plan type adjusting, specific adjusting, you start to see different expressions of healing, right? And then you become and start to live the way that God designed you to be in your day-to-day life.
So how does a nervous system get to this point of a diagnosis? Like, so much dysregulation that we get a diagnosis. In PX Docs, we call this the perfect storm. So mom is probably stressed during pregnancy, and then we have this birth intervention and cascades that create a high probability of a stressful birth, like interventions such as C-section, forceps delivery, that kind of thing. And that stacks emotional, chemical, and physical stress on mom, which baby feels, right? And then they get their own dose of that as well, of the emotional stress of being separated from mom right out the gate. Literally. The chemical stress of the drugs, because they get those drugs in their system too. And then we have the physical stress of whatever it took to physically get them out, which is a big one that we're seeing an increase in the last 30 years. I think that's the number of way, way, way more birth interventions like C-sections and forceps delivery than are necessary. And I mean that are necessary. We have 1 in 3 women getting C-sections in the United States on average, when the World Health Organization, not that I follow everything that they say, but the World Health Organization is suggesting that it's a fraction of that number, right? So what's happening? Why does the United States have so many more birth interventions that are creating so much more stress? We also probably have way more autism, way more ADHD, way more anxiety, way more depression, right? These numbers are correlating, right? And this is a big fancy way of saying let's just call it the perfect storm, right? It's a perfect storm of emotional, chemical, physical stress that stacks up and weighs down the nervous system and creates dysregulation.
Yeah, and so we pretty much get to use this information, right, this data to explain someone's entire life from the time they go through this storm until they find a neurologically focused chiropractor. And so that's why we're so passionate about starting with kiddos. But let's say we don't get to see this person until they're adult, right? They start out as a colicky baby. Their parents had a really hard time with just constant crying, right? And you maybe went to the pediatrician who was told they'll stop crying eventually. Blows my mind, but literally that's what pediatricians are saying. I should say the traditional pediatrician. Our pediatrician's great at Be Well Pediatrics. But all that say, you go to your traditional pediatrician, they say they'll grow out of it, and then all of a sudden they start to have ear infections.
Well, it's like colic.
Sinus infection. Yeah. Reflux,
Digestive
constipation.
issues. Yeah.
All the things. Again, which your pediatrician is like, well, this happens all the time, so they'll just grow out of it one day. Which is, sometimes you see less of it, sometimes it does resolve, but it turns into behavior issues, right? A lot of times we see a baby at 3 and it's like, I don't know what happened, just like overnight, but it's like, no, you also had this colicky baby and you had all these things that were happening that have now turned into behavioral issues. And then they go to school, hopefully don't get kicked out of school, but the parents worry that they're not focusing, they're not listening, they're not following directions. Now we've got some, PTs, OTs, that kind of stressor of modalities. We love what PTs and OTs do, but when you have a baby that has a first start to life, it's just harder to work with that kid. We see a lot of plateaus start to happen. We see a lot less results that we want to see. So then this child is kind of labeled as difficult, right? Now they have this label of difficult. Sometimes at this point they have labels of ADHD, autism, all these other things they go through. Now they're, kids or children, adolescents, right? And now we start to see things like anxiety, depression, just continued behavioral issues, right? And then they get to adults and they're adults who can't sleep. They're adults who have IBS. They're adults who have endometriosis, PCOS, right?
Anxiety, depression.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And so this is literally, we think that this is just the luck of the draw. This is how things have to be. And then it continues with a mom who has preeclampsia and gestational diabetes, right? It goes, and then that goes into their, so we think that this whole thing is just the luck of the draw, just how, just so happens to happen. But I would say more often than not, this is the pattern that we just keep repeating generationally, but not anymore.
Yeah. What I said earlier, to connect all these dots for you, our body always has a way of throwing a red flag, like, hey, something's going on. When we're really stressed as infants, the red flag is poor digestion, colic, reflux. And then we do kind of grow out of those red flags in a sense, but the dysregulation isn't gone. So we have to express it in another way. So we're expressing it with chronic ear infections, chronic sickness, ADHD, right? And our body expresses the red flag somehow, and it's following us through life, right? All the way until gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, those things. Like, why are they happening so frequently to create all of these birth interventions, right? Literally watched in my office these disease processes reverse when their nervous system gets regulated, right? What we're saying is we don't have to live with this, and there's a way to undo this dysregulation so that we can live optimally and stop passing down poor genetics, right? Because our nervous system is going to be what helps our genetics express optimally, right? It takes lots of things, but we don't have to pass that stuff on, right? You didn't inherit, I don't know, like dysfunction. Yeah. I mean, you can.
Right. It's passed down for sure. That doesn't need to be your story. And I think I just feel like, I don't know, someone might be listening to this and being like, well, I've tried chiropractic before and I still had all these things, I did the baby flipping method and, all of that. And so I do just want to take a second to say that, one, I'm sorry, that is your experience, but that we do things differently here because of that, right? Because I will say, we talked about traditional pediatricians, we talked about even some holistic providers, and even some people in our own profession, right, have not done the due diligence, the research like our mentor, Dr. Tony, has, and like we continue to do in our own offices to approach this in a different way. back then, maybe an adjustment once a week or kids adjustment once a month maybe helped. But as we just said, we're seeing way more interventions. We're seeing way more diagnoses. We cannot keep treating people the same way that they were. Actually, I do think when chiropractic first started, they were seeing people a lot more. But then it changed into this like once a week, once a month. Hopefully, let's kind of similar as the traditional pediatrician, right? Where it's like, we'll do like 3 times a week. In school, that's what, I mean, we talked about was like 3 times a week for like, I don't know, 12 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. And then hopefully it'll get better after that. Instead of doing that, hoping it gets better, we care plan and we scan and we make sure that we stay on top of this. Because again, that's why I wanted to mention earlier in this episode, epigenetics is about repetition, and we are addressing these changes in our gene function through repetition of the adjustment, of the care planning, of the scanning, right? We don't want to just do it once and call it good. We want to have this process of 3, 4, sometimes daily that I'm seeing you, because just like your experience was repetitive when you started expressing those symptoms, your experience for healing is going to happen with the repetition of chiropractic care, of scans, of your care plan.
Yeah, like when we dive into these scans, we see a low HRV, so it's a low adaptability to stress. We see a high EMG, so tons of tension built up in the body.
Or an exhausted one.
It's a sign that the nervous system is stuck in a pattern. And this is what Dr. Veronica is talking about. This stuckness in your nervous system is how your body is expressing life, which is not of great quality. And so what we get to do is dive into your individual scans and create a direction that you're not going to get at a lot of other places for healing, right? So we get to locate the stress really specifically with scans in our hands. We're really people are blown away all the time. Like, how did you find that spot? Like, well, I did go to school for a long time to be able to find these spots. They're like, what is it? What are you feeling? It's like subluxation.
Yeah.
Like, what's a subluxation? It's like, well,
come to the Perfect Storm workshop.
Come to the Perfect Storm workshop. Check out these scans. Yeah. Someone today said, explain it to me like I'm your oldest child. I was like, my 4-year-old? She's like, yes. I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
I was like, this spot right here where there was just tons of tension, she's like, that is sticky. And this spot right here, there was like low tone, turned down. She's like, that is tired. So I have to clean up the stickiness and I have to wake up the tiredness so that so you feel good.
I love that so much.
So maybe we just need to say that. She's like, okay, thank you. That's what I needed.
Sticky and tired. I love that.
Sticky and tired. I didn't know what else like my 4-year-old like vocabulary wouldn't know.
Right. No, that's so good. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah. We can use it for kids. Like, this is sticky. And it's, I can't say like bogging down or.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they say when you can explain something to the simplest of terms, you really are an expert in that. Yeah. So, beautiful.
Anyway,
okay, well.
So cleaning up the stickiness and waking up the tired parts of your nervous system is how we address the root cause of the issue, right? So we can get out of this stickiness of our gas pedal being stuck on it. We're in fight or flight. And we can get juice to that brake pedal so we can tap on both when we need. And so that kiddo with ADHD can perceive his environment appropriately and organize things in his brain to give you the ideal output, which is focusing on schoolwork, right? Or
and
sitting
sleeping.
Still. And sleeping. And pooping. And just thriving.
So if you're tired of collecting diagnoses and prescriptions and you're ready to actually find the root cause behind what is going on, we want you to know it's not too late. It's never too late. The best time to start care is yesterday. But the next best time is today. And we want you to know you and your child are not broken. So you can click the link in our show notes to read this PX Doc article called The Silent Epidemic. It's going to go into a little bit more information. It will continue to explain exactly why this is happening, what you can do to start today. And if you're ready for real answers, book a nervous system evaluation with either I or Dr. Serena. You can also find that in the show notes below. You don't have to guess anymore, and you definitely don't have to do it alone. We are in your corner.
And if you're not ready to make an initial scan appointment, you can also schedule consultations with us. We do discovery calls. You could chat more with like, can you help my kid with XYZ? The answer is probably yes, because we're not worried about the diagnoses. We're worried about what's their nervous system going to look like, and we figure that out with scans. But we are happy to chat more with you.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's pray.
Okay.
Dear Lord, thank you for this path that we found ourselves on of understanding that the nervous system is our master system that you've given us. Thank you, in a sense, for these diagnoses that are giving us resources to learn how to help kids and providing research and to understand what's going on that's leading us back to understanding that it's the nervous system. And Lord, thank you for giving us a modality to remove the stickiness and wake up the systems so that our patients can heal and thrive and express life to all that you've given them. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us on Motherhood, Aligned and Assigned.
We hope today's episode helped you connect the dots in your family's health journey.
Remember, this is where nervous system health meets motherhood wisdom.
Until next time, we're Dr. Veronica Schiltz.
And Dr. Serena Kaufman, supporting you as you nurture your family's well-being.
Because when you're aligned, everyone thrives.